Across the world, on the loneliest stretches of asphalt that cut through the darkness, a single story is told. It's whispered in hushed tones passed down through generations, a chilling piece of folklore that feels all too real. It is the legend of the woman in white, a spectral figure seen standing by the side of the road, her form illuminated for a fleeting moment in the sweep of passing headlights. They say she is waiting, forever trapped between worlds, a silent sentinel on the edge of the known. The accounts vary by culture and by continent, but the core of the narrative remains hauntingly the same. A ghostly woman, dressed in a pale flowing garment, her face etched with a sorrow that time cannot erase. She is a phantom born of tragedy, a story that begins on a dark forgotten night and has never truly found its end. Drivers, often solitary travelers making their way through the desolate quiet of the late hours, have shared their encounters for decades, their voices trembling with a mixture of fear and profound sadness. The details converge into a single terrifying tableau. One moment, there is only the rhythmic hum of the engine and the endless ribbon of road stretching into the void. The next, she is there. A sudden ethereal shape emerging from the mist or the rain-slicked darkness. Some say she stands motionless, a statue of grief, her eyes fixed on something no one else can see. Others claim she flags them down, her hand raised in a desperate, silent plea for help. Her presence is an icy shock, a disruption of the mundane that signals something is deeply existentially wrong. Those who are brave enough, or perhaps compassionate enough to stop, describe a woman of sorrowful beauty, her white dress strangely clean despite the roadside grit. She asks for a ride, her voice a soft melancholic whisper that barely carries over the thrum of the idling engine. Her destination is always nearby, a local address, an old cemetery, or a forgotten homestead just a few miles down the road. The journey that follows is one of unsettling silence. The air in the car grows cold, thick with an unspoken grief. The driver might try to make conversation, to ask her name, to understand what has happened, but her replies are often vague, ephemeral, or non-existent. She simply stares ahead, her gaze lost in the unfolding darkness, as if replaying a memory that has become her entire reality. Then, just as they approach the place she named, the driver glances over to the passenger seat, perhaps to confirm the final turn. But she is gone. She has vanished without a sound, without opening a door, leaving behind nothing but a chilling damp spot on the seat and the lingering scent of rain or night-blooming flowers. In some versions of the tale, the driver, shaken and confused, proceeds to the address she gave, needing an explanation, needing to prove to themselves they were not insane. They knock on the door of an old house, only to be met by an elderly resident who listens to their story with a heavy heart. The resident then reveals the truth. The woman they picked up was their daughter, their wife, or their sister, who died in a tragic car accident on that very road, many, many years ago. Every year on the anniversary of her death, she returns, forever trying to make her way home. The legend of the woman in white is a tapestry woven from the darkest threads of human experience. Inconsolable grief, betrayed love, and violent, untimely death. Each variation of the story speaks to a different facet of this shared tragedy. In some tales, she is a young bride, abandoned at the altar, who threw herself from a bridge in her wedding gown, her spirit now eternally searching for the lover who never came. In others, she is a mother who lost her children in a terrible accident, and now wanders the roadsides, her ghostly cries mistaken for the wind as she searches for them in vain. Another common version paints her as a victim of a violent crime, her life taken on a lonely road, her body left undiscovered. In this telling, her spirit cannot rest, bound to the place of her demise, forever seeking justice or simply a witness to her final moments. Her white dress, once a symbol of purity, celebration, or innocence, becomes her spectral shroud, a constant, glaring reminder of a life cut short, a future stolen. The tragedy is not just in her death, but in her eternal lonely vigil. She is a monument to promises broken and a love so powerful that not even the grave could contain it. Her story resonates because it touches upon our deepest fears, the fear of losing those we love, the fear of a violent end, and the terrifying possibility that death is not a final piece but a loop of our greatest sorrow. This myth is not merely a ghost story. Its roots are buried deep in historical and cultural soil, drawing nourishment from real events and societal anxieties. Folklorists and historians trace the archetype back centuries, to figures like the Celtic Banshee, a female spirit whose wail foretells a death in the family, or the Latin American legend of La Llorona, the weeping woman, who drowned her children and is now cursed to search for them for eternity. These figures all represent a powerful and often dangerous manifestation of female grief and trauma. The modern incarnation, the roadside phantom, gained prominence with the rise of the automobile in the 20th century. As cars became more common, lonely roads became the new dark forests of our collective imagination, places of isolation, vulnerability, and sudden mechanical violence. The vanishing hitchhiker archetype became a staple of urban legends, a cautionary tale for a new era of travel. The woman in white is the most poignant and enduring version of this tale. She is not just a random ghost, she is a specific tragedy, one that could have happened to anyone. Her story was likely inspired by countless real-life accidents and unsolved murders that occurred on these new modern arteries of travel. A newspaper clipping from a bygone era detailing a fatal crash on a remote highway could easily become the seed from which a local legend sprouts. The truth that inspired her is the simple, brutal fact that people have died on these roads, their journeys ending in a flash of twisted metal and shattered glass. Her legend is a way for communities to process these tragedies, to give a face and a story to the anonymous dangers that lurk just beyond the glow of our headlights, transforming random acts of fate into a narrative of enduring love and unending loss. Tonight, as rain streaks across your windshield and the world dissolves into a blur of fog and light, you might find yourself on one of those roads. The kind of road that feels like it exists outside of time, where the silence is so complete it feels like a physical presence. The wipers beat a hypnotic rhythm, and the only other sound is the steady hum of your engine. It is on nights like this, in places like this, that the veil between worlds feels at its thinnest. You glance at the dark woods lining the road, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. A flicker of movement in your periphery. Is it just a trick of the light? A reflection on the wet pavement? Or is it something else? Is it her? Standing there in the pouring rain, her white dress a beacon in the oppressive gloom, her eyes filled with a century of sorrow. Would you slow down? Would you stop? Or would you press your foot harder on the accelerator, your heart pounding in your chest, desperate to leave the ghostly silhouette behind in your rearview mirror? The legend of the woman in white endures not because we believe in ghosts, but because it asks us a question about our own humanity. It reminds us that for every soul who reaches their destination, there is another who, for reasons of love, grief, or tragedy, never came home. And it leaves us to wonder as we drive on into the darkness how many of them are still out there waiting by the side of the road, hoping for one last ride.